APSU-TV's election coverage special. I'm Brianna Franklin.
And I'm Baylor Betts. Tonight we'll be delving into the election here in Montgomery County and as well as the national race.
We'll be highlighting key issues from each race, hearing from different candidates throughout the city, and giving you updates from the polls in real time. So stay tuned.
Election Day 2024 is officially over in Montgomery County, unless you stood in line before the precinct closed at 7 tonight. More of you cast your vote early this time, with the Montgomery County Election Commission reporting about 2% higher turnout compared to 2020. Clarksville now reports this year's early voting numbers are more than 39% higher than the 2016 election. In-person voting at the polls were underway coast to coast, and today's ballots will be added to more than 78 million votes cast during early voting periods nationwide, according to data gathered by CNN. Either way, history will be made tonight. If Donald Trump wins, he'll be the first president since Governor Cleveland voted out of the White House, then voted back in. If Vice President Kamala Harris wins, she'll be the first woman ever elected president. As Laura Aguirre explains, election officials are urging patience and calm on what's sure to be a long day of voting in ballot counts.
For president, 3 for Kamala Harris, 3 for Donald Trump.
Election Day kicked off with a split vote just after midnight in the 6-person town of Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. Polls are now open nationwide, and all eyes are on the hard-fought swing states like North Carolina, where a vitriolic campaign season has left a mark.
I don't care who you voted for. I want to be a community again.
I feel there's a lot of hatred out there, and I would like to see less of that. Less violence.
In Buncombe County, decimated by Hurricane Helene just weeks ago, election officials say polling sites are open and ready.
We've done double testing of all of the results uploading infrastructure, so we don't anticipate any issues with that.
In fellow battleground Pennsylvania, fraught with legal challenges and claims of voter suppression in recent weeks, the state's district attorney pulling no punches on potential disruptors.
Anybody who thinks it's time to play militia, F around and find out.
To Cedarburg, Wisconsin, where bomb-sniffing dogs are being used to keep polling stations safe for the first time ever. It's a safety message being echoed in Michigan for voters and poll watchers alike.
We will have them removed. We have that authority here.
Key to today's vote count in many states, patience.
I just want to assure the American public that it will happen, but it will be sometime after midnight.
The first polls close at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Election Day officially ends when the last poll closes in Alaska at 1 a.m. Eastern Time Wednesday morning. Rules slightly vary from state to state, but several, like Pennsylvania, require early voting ballots to be held open and counted on Election Day, which is why results may not come back until the overnight hours or sometime early Wednesday. It can also be shown one candidate doing better in the early hours after polls close and then change hours later as all ballots are tallied. In another swing state, North Carolina, the executive director of the state's election board tried to head off any Election Day unrest by asking candidates and election officials to accept the result. Candidates defeat and have a peaceful transition of power.
With Election Day here, some of our reporters hit the streets to find out what issues mattered most to the local voters in Montgomery County. From the economy, education, Lucy Wilkinson and Contarius Utley discover what our community had to say.
Hello, I'm Contarius Utley from APSU-TV News, and today we are going around asking local college students their opinions on the upcoming election, both local and national. Stay tuned. What is your opinion on the upcoming presidential election?
I'm not going to go with the classic divided take, because I don't think that's really true. I think people are just burnt out.
I think we have a lot of different points of views, and we don't know how to communicate those points of views, whether, from the middle class to the lower class to the upper class, from whether you're black, white, yellow, brown, green, blue, purple. We all have these unique perspectives, feelings, emotions, and backgrounds, and we all want to be heard, but no one's taking the time to listen.
It's honestly very sad. I would say I feel like we have bigger things to be worried about, and we're worried about little things.
What do you think the age range should be for the presidential candidate?
Let's take a closer look at the final full day of campaigning in the president election. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump continued their rallies in battleground states as this election comes to a close. Brian Abel is at the White House with the latest on the election's final moments.
Both campaigns really ramping up their schedules in the final days of this election to a dizzying pace, crisscrossing battleground states, trying to shore up those 270 electoral votes it takes to become the next resident of the White House here. And while making closing arguments, the rhetoric has ramped up too. The presidential campaign trail over the final weekend running straight through the battleground states. Vice President Kamala Harris with multiple stops in Wisconsin Friday, Georgia and North Carolina Saturday, and Michigan Sunday, making closing arguments of her truncated campaign, saying she wants to remind people the stakes of the election.
We know who Donald Trump is. Now, this is not someone who is thinking about how to make your life better.
The vice president Saturday also appearing on SNL.
Because what do we always say? Keep Kamala and carry on a lot.
The close of former President Trump's third presidential run, also pushing into multiple battleground states. He too was in Wisconsin Friday after Michigan, then Virginia Saturday, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina Sunday.
I will bring back the American dream, and we'll bring it back stronger than ever before.
As they sprint to the finish, polls show a race too close to call. Longtime Michigan Representative Debbie Dingell on just how close she believes this race is.
Been through enough elections that I can tell you I have never seen a tighter election.
And the intense pace, it continues on this final full day of campaigning of this election cycle. Harris making 5 stops, all in Pennsylvania, Scranton, Allentown, Reading, Pittsburgh, before her final event in Philadelphia on the steps of the famous Rocky Steps. That is with Oprah and Lady Gaga as well. And then former President Trump, Raleigh, North Carolina, also Reading and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, before his final stop, Grand Rapids, Michigan, the very same place where he has spent the last event of the previous 2 presidential cycles. At the White House, I'm Brian Abel reporting.
Early voting numbers were up this election, with the Montgomery County Election Commission reporting about 2% higher turnout compared to 2020. Clarksville Now reports this year's early voting numbers are more than 30% higher than the 2016 election. Julian Ali speaks with early voters on campus at APSU.
Hello everybody, I'm Julian Ali here on Austin Peay University's campus, and today we're going to be interviewing students about the upcoming election.
What are your views on student debt and financial stability for young adults like you and me?
I think in this generation, student debt shouldn't even be a thing. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need videographers, we need all kinds of people. And the economy that we in it's kind of bad. So I got to go into debt to get a better education so I can get a better job career to help the country that I'm in. I don't really think it makes sense.
What are your thoughts on the current state of jobs and economy in terms of opportunities for younger people?
Younger people also, this goes back to the school thing. If you graduate with like a associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, you have to go find a job, but that job more than likely wants you to have experience. And if you don't have experience, then you're at a less advantage for obtaining that job that you went to school for. So you don't really have that many job opportunities unless you go work at a factory or you work for something that's not in your degree.
Are you high on anyone this year for the election? Do you have anyone that you would want to win? Is there anyone that you're rooting for?
No.
No? All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Julian Ali with APSU-TV.
We have more to cover tonight. Stay with us.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
great having you.
Incredible women.
I wish they had those kind of cool careers for women when we were growing up.
So in this flashback, we're all the same age?
Yeah.
What does everyone want to be when they grow up?
If I say 2 jobs, do I get extra credit?
No.
I want to make immersive video games. I want to revolutionize 3D printing. I want to analyze data from the cloud.
I want to be a meteor.
You mean meteorologist?
No.
That's great, Al. Follow your dreams.
For the record, I was a baby in the 70s.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Welcome back. The Department of Political Science and Public Management is hosting an election night watch party at the Morgan University Center with students, faculty, and staff. Let's head over to the UC with our reporters on site. What's the atmosphere like right now?
Have a student here with us right now, Jayla, with us. Jayla, how's it today? How's it going?
He's not. It's going great. We have pizza, food, drinks. Everyone's missing and mingling out there. I think the morale is pretty high for sure. The energy isn't negative, which is something I wasn't necessarily expecting, but I like it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And like she said, so they are having a great time in there having a pizza. Pizza just arrived. What kind of pizza they having?
We have pepperoni, cheese from Papa John's.
So yep. Good. You're enjoying it?
I did, for sure.
Great pizza is the best pizza, isn't it?
Of course.
I mean, as a college student, what can you do extra more, man? Spend the money. Man, so are there any issues you're trying to get away from this year?
Issues?
Yeah.
Like political issues? Probably, I would say, I'm thinking more of like abortion issues for sure.
Yeah.
I would like to see a change in that. Like, you know how Roe v. Wade and stuff. I would like to see a change. Okay, for sure.
That's something crazy, and I would love to see something more to things like that. I mean, to have something like that treated. So, and so now we are going to talk about how students are going to have a great time. Students are reading, they have the cameras out, they took the pictures, they're watching TV to make a series well going to Pittsburgh, also that in Connecticut, is that true?
Yep.
So that's amazing to hear that. You know, so they're already on stage trying to figure out what's going on, and you know, that is amazing. So. Is there anything else that you want to remind us of? Yeah, thank you. You guys are great.
All right, appreciate it. We will talk to Julian again later tonight.
Is that not?
As the election come to a close, Vice President Harris and former President Trump made sure to focus on the top issues voiced by voters. Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook details the key concerns motivating voters in the election cycle.
As Election Day approaches, what issues are driving voters to head to the polls?
How we can, I don't want to get into politics, but secure our borders, you know, help our veterans and help the U.S. people.
We want to make sure that, we have somebody that's want to support women and abortion rights is very important to us.
Surveys show immigration and abortion rights are near the top, but the economy remains the #1 concern.
We should have a plan, which I do, to actually get things done, including bringing down the cost of living for people, investing in our small businesses, expanding access to health care, investing in American industry.
The majority of voters say they are displeased with the current state of the economy.
I will never apologize for defending America. I will protect our workers. I will protect our jobs. I will protect the birthright of our children to live in the richest and most powerful nation on the face of the earth.
While Trump holds an advantage when it comes to this topic, polling shows Harris has chipped away at that gap. A new economic report came out this week, leading several economists and officials to say the economy has finally pulled off a soft landing, in which inflation is tamed without a recession, an exceptionally rare achievement. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
We're about to hear from very special guests. Mo, take it away.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Bree. Appreciate that. I'm Monique Bradley, and I'm here with Emeritus Political Science Professor Dr. David Carnarvo. And Dr. Carnarvo has been doing this for a while, so I'm pretty excited. I got to have a little bit of conversation with him before we started. And you said you've been doing this since 1978, election coverage.
Yes.
So I'm pretty excited to have somebody that's so
Old.
No, I didn't want to say. I did not want to say old, but since we're here, don't worry, I'm older too. So, anyways, but let's talk about this election. Now, I know you have done some research, and you're very versed in it. Can you tell us a little bit about your observations and what you've seen as far as this election has gone?
Well, of course, locally, the turnout has been quite good. It's been higher than, as was pointed out, than it was 2 years ago. And so it's almost a historic turnout for us, because this is a county which has traditionally had the lowest turnout in the state, and a state which has the lowest turnout in the country. So that doesn't put us in very good standing generally, but the fact that the turnout is improving in this county is certainly a very positive thing to happen.
Right. So just to piggyback off of that, I got a question. Valerie Guzman wanted to know, actually, Tennessee has been a red state for many, many years. With this election and kind of possibly seeing a blue wave, do you think Tennessee will turn blue anytime soon in future elections to come?
Probably not in my lifetime.
Hey, well, who knows?
We'll see. Of course, the first dozen or 15 years that I was here, it was very blue state. It was controlled by the Southern Democrats, more traditional conservative Democrats, and then gradually moved in the late 80s and into the 90s into the Republican camp. And so with that happening, we have gone kind of overboard in the sense in this state, in that we are an extremely Republican state. We have supermajorities in both the House and the Senate over the Republicans. It's very difficult for the Democrats in this state to have much of a serious voice and affect public policy very much, because they are such a small minority really in both chambers.
Yeah, as far as we were talking earlier, the Republican Party has changed quite a bit. It's not your, it's not your grandfather's Republican Party anymore. And I believe it, nor is it your grandfather's Democratic Party anymore. I feel parties have changed vastly in the years. And this election, like you said, I think is a very historic election. And not just with the older generation, they're continuing to vote, but we have a large younger generation that is voting. And how do you feel that this election, we have had social media play a role in that? Do you think that had played a role in that at all?
Well, I'm not a big social media user myself, as we had discussed earlier, but at the same time, I know younger people are. They're on TikTok, they're on X, they're on various other platforms that I can't even mention, because I'm not very aware of them. But at the same time, I think they are influenced by them. Younger people are often not big traditional news watchers. They don't watch the evening news that much. They don't watch local Nashville news that much. And so it's a matter then of them getting information from somewhere. And in the case of most young people today, it is from social media.
I see.
And it's a matter of the social media giving them information, but the thing that I don't know is how much influence it has on them, particularly in terms of stimulating them to action. How many went out to vote because of social media?
We're actually going to go off and send it back off, but I think we'll come back and revisit that. We'll be back right after this short break.
Okay.
Thank you.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's all good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should.
Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Hero doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that I would never be able to get over it and that my kids wouldn't have a father. I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. For the longest time, fear held me back from ultimately being who I wanted to. I had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
Oh, man. I can't believe I'm missing this. Okay, Grandma.
Don't get stuck at home with the flu.
Talking about
A flu shot is the best way to prevent the flu and its potentially serious complications. It keeps you, your community, and loved ones protected. Don't get flu FOMO. Learn more at getmyflushot.org.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back. Will is in front of the map to talk about the different wards in Clarksville.
Good afternoon. This is William Marvin on APSU-TV News. As you can see in the top left, we have Ward 1, which is about the halfway point for Fort Campbell. You have then Ward 2 and in between Ward 3. In Ward 4, you have a bit of a split from I-24. Moving off from that, we have Ward 5 slightly to the right of Ward 1. In Ward 6 is our local heart of Clarksville, Tennessee. Underneath that, to the bottom right, we have Ward 7, which actually has Rotary Park. Going back up that, if you can see we have a slight L being made with our wards tonight. We have 8, 9, and 10. In Ward 10, you have the River Golf Club. Slightly in between the halfway point for Ward 11, you have Dunbar Cave. And going up forward, if you continue to go up the map, directly to the Clarksville, to the Tennessee and Kentucky border, you have Ward 12. Slightly interesting with Ward 12 is that there is Dave Billen, Zoe Jackson, along with Kerry Lovato, happens to be the top 3 candidates going into the election for Ward 12. Something else that's quite interesting regarding Ward 12 is that all 3 candidates have a strong position on infrastructure. Not only just infrastructure, but also planning for things like pavements, roads, and any form of transportation regarding the safety of its citizens in Ward 12. This was a common issue found on the common interest found on Clarksville Community Network, along with Clarksville News. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Clarksville's Ward 8 spans from the Robert Clark Park to the Regal Cinemas on Tinytown. Ward 8 has no shortage of nice stores and restaurants, but what can be done about the lack of places for kids and families? Jasmine Logan does some digging.
Candidates Faye Morales, Dwight Jemison, Young Dawson, and Jerry Haywood are all running for Ward 8 City Council. Let's find out how they plan to make family spaces more accessible for the community. Candidate Faye Morales is dedicated to serving the community.
I do a lot, and I live in Bluegrass Downs, which is a part of my ward, Ward 8. And so I purchased that sign with my own money. I didn't ask for donations, I asked for anything. The sign was rotting, and I said, okay, we need to beautify our neighborhood.
While candidate Dwight Jemison promises to be an advocate for the community.
I just want to say we are here for the people.
Yeah.
Not
right.
about we're not representing anything but the people.
No parties.
No parties, just people. When you're out here, advocating for the people and making sure everybody's okay, that's what politics should be about.
Jemison also voiced concerns about not having enough family-friendly spaces.
I want to make sure we have places for our kids to go. Our kids have no places to go and play. And these little bitty backyards they're building for the kids, you can't even sit outside for a good 30 minutes to really enjoy yourself in your backyard. It's like a 5x8. Might as well be in a jail cell. We need more things out here for the kids and for the families to be able to go with their kids.
Morales also supports creating more spaces for Ward 8's youth.
We have quite a few children in our area. There are no playgrounds. We have teenagers that find things to do because there's nothing to do. So I want playgrounds. I want at least a center for our young people.
We tried reaching out to candidates Dawson and Haywood to hear their plans for the lack of family spaces in Clarksville's Ward 8, but they declined. APSU-TV's Jasmine Logan reports.
Ward 12 is a vast growing area here in Clarksville, and with the growing cities comes with a growing buildup of traffic. We spoke with the candidates hoping to represent this developing community to hear some of their thoughts on the issue. Quintarius Utley is bringing us more.
Ward 12 is a vastly growing area in Clarksville, which can cause a lot of traffic jams, and the candidates representing Ward 12 speak on how they would solve the traffic issue.
Of course, traffic. Everyone is hyper aware of our traffic concerns across the city. We are making some good progress with Tylertown and the Spring Creek Parkway, so just continuing to support those. And then, of course, also getting some youth programs getting started in Ward 12 as well.
To better fund the situation to fix the traffic that
is affecting Ward 12. And one of the suggestions is to do a roundabout, especially from Wilma Rudolph right there in front of Chick-fil-A, to try to create a roundabout to alleviate that traffic. For infrastructure, for the traffic, to create a roundabout for that particular area to try to minimize that traffic or that congestion right there in that the heart of coming into Clarksville right there. So that is a big problem for Ward 12 in that intersection right there.
One of the things that we really need to do is look at developing mass transit through the city. Ward 12 has both exit 1 and exit 4 located on either side of it. But if you wanted to travel from the area of exit 1 over to the industrial park near exit 4, you'd have to take a bus downtown and then another bus back uptown. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It means that anyone who lives in the area needs to have their own vehicle. I think having a bus route that takes you across and is scheduled to help people getting to and from work without forcing them to spend 2.5 hours each way is a better way to go that would reduce the traffic.
District State 67 has had many candidates discuss why the roadways and infrastructures are a major factor in this election. Here's Hugh Wheeler with why Clarksville's roads are under examination.
Road improvements were a big concern for Montgomery County voters coming into this election. Clarksville Now reported Clarksville expects to pass Chattanooga and become Tennessee's 4th largest city by 2026. Some businesses near construction on Madison Street, like Chopsticks Chinese Restaurant, make do as traffic crowds in front of their store.
Some people are mad about it, but most of them's like, we'll just deal with it and go around.
Not everyone agrees. Other businesses like this twice daily gas station next door have a rougher time adjusting.
It has been slow, like it's been slowing down the traffic. Nobody wants to pull in to come here.
Clarksville's Transportation 2020 Plus plan aims to make improvements to city roads such as Madison Street and Trenton Road.
Trenton Road. Did I mention it was horrible? Horrible. I hate to go out there.
Tennessee's state government is responsible for improvements on highways such as MLK Jr. Parkway and Interstate 24. Tennessee Department of Transportation's online data collection says traffic on MLK Jr. Parkway increased by 16% in 2023. State Representative Ronnie Glenn reminds APSU-TV that this is all positive for Clarksville.
Growth in any city is good because it brings up your tax base. Industries are more willing to come into your area because there's a workforce for them to be able to hire.
We tried reaching out to Glenn's opponent, Jamie Dean Peltz, but she did not respond.
Cars come and go, and so do election cycles. Roads are thought to remain through it all, but that is not the case. Clarksville has done all it is needed to do to welcome in expansion. The pressure remains on Nashville to do the same. Hugh Wheeler, APSU-TV, Clarksville.
The race for District 68 state representative remains tense. Candidates highlighted some key issues, including the importance of properly funding education. Here's Thomas Jones with more.
As Election Day approaches, many candidates are hitting the ground running, sharing their visions for the future of Tennessee, connecting with the people, and encouraging everyone to vote. Each one promises to be a voice for our communities, but do they truly understand the weight of leadership? Aaron Mayberry, the Republican bid for state representative in District 68, feels pretty certain that the historically red state will give him the vote.
So thankful for Deputy Speaker Curtis Johnson to come out. Of course, he's been in the seat that I am now about to be in. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. Not trying to necessarily fill his shoes, but stand on the platform that he's created.
Aaron is running on many policies, including how schools and student debt are handled.
I do think college
in general is too expensive, and there's a lot of things we could do. The way we give out loans in this country for education is problematic.
His opponent, Garfield Scott, the Democratic bid for the same position, is unconcerned about Aaron's confidence. On his website, he has written Tennessee Republicans have secured their supermajority and are using it to run roughshod over any kind of opposition. Sadly, we could not set a meeting with Garfield, but he has put his feelings on the issues online, with changes to schooling also being a pivotal point. Garfield believes that in a strong public education system that is accessible to all children in Tennessee. He is a fierce supporter of teachers and other school system employees and believes that public tax dollars intended for education should stay with public schools. As you've seen here tonight, we had a variety of options to pick from, all with their own unique spin on the topics at hand. Hopefully you gleaned something from these interviews and made the best decision you could. This has been Thomas with the APSU-TV News.
Student debt is impacting millions across the country and reshaping futures. It is influencing everything from career choices to home ownership. We spoke with experts and candidates about how this crisis affects our community in search of what solutions may be on the horizon. Lucy Wilkinson brings us with those solutions now.
The United States is dealing with the critical issue of student debt and its implications for students and graduates. We spoke with several relevant figures to explore how student debt affects individuals and the broader economy. With nearly 70% of graduates carrying loans, the impact is significant.
I think that a lot of times when 18-year-olds come to college, loans are kind of presented to you as like a really quick way to make sure that you have no balance. And if you're not going out and kind of like educating yourself on what it'll look like after graduation, it can be like a surprise for a lot of students when they graduate and then they have to start making payments, or like they didn't realize how interest works on the loans, things like that.
We also know that student debt impacts the economy.
They're going to be less involved in the economy, not purchasing. This exhibit reduced spending power. They may delay major purchases like purchasing a home, a car, things like that. If there's an instance of increased default on student loans, that has a negative impact on the government.
Opposing political parties have adopted different policies regarding student debt.
I do think college in general is too expensive, and there's a lot of things we could do reforming education. I think that would probably start at the federal level to honestly have a lot of that change. But I would not be for debt cancellation, where the government comes in and basically bails out their education institutions or individuals because of the decision they made. What that would do actually would incentivize education even more to raise their loans even higher, or their cost of the schools even higher, because they're just going to get bailed out in a way. So I don't agree with that.
Puts a lot of pressure on young kids. I think it's predatory, and I think it shouldn't be done. I think it's wrong. But I think anybody who is pressured in that at the day, they should be able to do a debt forgiveness and wipe it all away. Kids should be able to go to school for free. Be able to go to free. Or even if it's not free, let's make it make sense. Because ain't no need for me to get a $100,000 debt and I get a $20,000 a year job.
With insights from financial aid experts, educators, and political leaders, we can better understand the complexities of student debt and its far-reaching consequences. For APSU-TV News, I'm Lucy Wilkinson.
In the U.S. Senate race, Republican Marsha Blackburn has been actively advocating for her community on various issues, from economic growth to public safety. Recently, her focus has shifted to addressing the severe impact of Hurricane Helene on East Tennessee. Blackburn expressed her commitment to assisting those affected by the recent flooding. Though she was unavailable for an interview, she posted on Instagram saying, quote, "We're continuing to work as quickly as we can, feverishly nonstop to help people get resources they need to recover from the devastating flood damage." On the Democratic side, U.S. Senate candidate Gloria Johnson aims to serve Tennesseans who are fighting for justice and stands tall for all those who have been left without a voice. With her background as an educator, she also hopes to advocate for her public schools and teachers. Another issue important to her is the battle for abortion access and gun safety laws. Two independent Senate candidates are interested in criminal justice reform and a sustainable future. Independent candidate Pamela Moses also stresses the importance of universal and quality health care for all. Independent candidate Justina Robinson believes in the importance of, quote, "nothing but the truth," end quote. Her social platforms mention her advocacy for her prison reform as well. She wants to fight to prevent the spread of homelessness in Tennessee.
The question almost certainly will not be answered tonight, but it's important to ask it anyway. Will Democrats flip control of the House of Representatives? And what's to come if the GOP retains the chamber? CNN's Manny Rehu caught up with the current speaker to ask him about that.
The office of Speaker of the House declared vacant.
It's been a chaotic 2 years in the GOP-led House.
What did he say to Congressman Burns?
An ousted speaker and rampant infighting. Now Speaker Mike Johnson is trying to do what once seemed improbable, hang on to power and even grow their razor-thin majority.
Mr. President, I'm here in New York.
As he barnstormed more than 20 states in October alone, Johnson is hoping to turn out the MAGA base, even in Democratic-leaning districts, and making a pitch for unified GOP control of Washington.
Everybody in the world is watching what happens on Long Island and in the state of New York. That is not an exaggeration.
Trump, meanwhile, relying on Johnson and saying this last week at Madison Square Garden.
He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
But Johnson now says that simply meant getting out the vote, even as Democrats fear he and Trump will try to block a Harris victory.
I know you said that this is a get out the vote effort,
yes.
But have you and him talked about not accepting the election results if Harris wins?
Of course not. I've taken an oath to uphold the Constitution. We're going to do our job. It shouldn't even be a question or a controversy.
So if Harris wins, you would accept the results?
Yes. Look, I'm going to qualify this, and this is going to make everybody freak out again. If it's a free and fair election, I'm saying the exact same thing that Jamie Raskin is saying.
But it's Trump who once again is pushing unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud.
Trump is already sowing doubts about the election, about Pennsylvania. Does that concern you?
Trump is not sowing doubts. What he and all of us are trying to do is have accountability to ensure that we don't have hijinks and irregularities.
To keep power in the House, Republicans have to defend 16 seats in districts Joe Biden won, including in California and New York, as they target 5 Democratic districts that Trump carried in 2020. That means the next House majority will likely be narrow once again, and another recipe for gridlock.
So why do you guys deserve another 2 years in power?
Well, we did pass a lot of legislation. It's died on Chuck Schumer's desk. And
you had trouble passing your own legislation out of the House, too.
On occasion, but we also had some big landmark legislation sent over there, and it died because the Democrats control the Senate.
But you have a narrow majority, no matter what, and you had a difficult time with this last narrow majority.
Well, I had the most narrow majority in U.S. history. I'm convinced we're going to have a larger majority this time. And then if we have unified government, I think everybody on my side is going to be in a much better mood, and I think they'll want to be part of the reform agenda and not a speed bump in the way.
The race for the House poised to be the most expensive ever, with Democrats spending over $476 million on the air, outpacing the GOP by more than $100 million. But Democrats fear that a unified GOP Washington will leave Trump unchecked, including to target his enemies.
It's the enemy from within, all the scum that we have to deal with.
If he wins, he's talked about going after his enemies. Would you dissuade him from doing that?
He is not going to go after his enemies.
He said that repeatedly.
Listen, the Democrats have engaged in lawfare. So all this hyperbole, trying to scare people, it's nonsense. That's not going to happen. We're going to follow the law.
Into the final weekend before Election Day, both Vice President Harris and former President Trump held respective campaign events in Wisconsin on Friday. We'll be back right after this short break, so stay with us.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So, yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Hero doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile,
for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Great having you. Incredible women. I wish they had those kind of cool careers for women when we were growing up.
So in this flashback, we're all the same age?
Yeah.
What does everyone want to be when they grow up?
If I say 2 jobs, do I get extra credit?
No.
I want to make immersive video games. I want to revolutionize 3D printing. I want to analyze data from the cloud.
I want to be a meteor.
You mean meteorologist?
No.
That's great, Al. Follow your dreams.
For the record, I was a baby in the 70s.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Lots of inspirational messages and photos of citizens flashing their I voted stickers are filling the social media feeds of both local and state candidates. Let's Do This Tennessee was spelled out on the Facebook page of U.S. Senate candidate Marsha Blackburn, Republican incumbent from Tennessee. District 75 candidate Montgomery County Democrat Allie Phillips thanked her supporters on her Facebook page for their votes. Other candidates like District 68 Montgomery County Republican Erin Mayberry invited voters to join them at the local watch party. A lot of hopeful candidates and lots of optimism. We're heading back to Mo and Dr. Carnarvo, where they will talk with us about social media has played a role in this election.
Hey, thanks again, guys, and Dr. Carnarvo. So welcome back, and I kind of just want to piggyback off of where we left, social media. So we were talking previously about what elections looked like back in the day and how elections back then do not look the same, and social media has definitely played a role in that. If you just want to give us a little insight of what it looked like when you first voted, and you don't have to tell us the year, but if you want to tell us, you're more than welcome to.
Well, we had moved beyond rock tablets when I first voted.
Rock tablets.
To paper ballots.
Oh, nice.
And then punch cards.
Oh.
With the hanging chads. And so that was it. We had TV, radio, newspapers, those sorts of types of media were available for broadcasting people's points of view and getting the candidates' names out there. But social media, of course, is something quite new and quite different. The traditional media were fine. And we have, of course, signs and all the other kinds of paraphernalia. But as a society and the engineers in this country developed social media to give us another way of communicating with one another, which isn't such a bad thing. But it means, of course, that politicians are going to have to use it.
Yeah.
That if communication is going to be particularly attractive to young people that way, rather than through the traditional media of newspapers, magazines, and TV, then politicians have to try to get their points across, their names out there to the young people to get them informed and to get them invigorated so that they'll come out and vote for them.
Yeah, I feel like technology has really played a role in what elections look like. I mean, even within the past 20 years, when I think of past elections, now I wasn't around for Nixon's time, but I remember seeing a big Nixon pin, vote for Nixon pin that people would wear. And, you think back then you had signs, you had posters, pins, hats, stuff like that. And like you said, news sources were your newspaper, television, if you had it, radio. Those were your three main news sources. And now we have social media to get us our information. And that age gap, I think, really plays a role. You said you only use Facebook, whereas me, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all this election cycle, all I've seen is politicians on there. Where I asked you, where'd you get your research from? And you're like, the internet, the news. And I was like, so is that TikTok? Is that, which news source? And you're like, the real news source. No, I'm just kidding. Not the real news source, but
the traditional
news source. And I think now our younger generation, they're, for me personally, I don't have a lot of time. I want to use my time wisely. And when I do have a little bit of downtime, I don't want to spend 15 minutes looking at a newspaper or 10 minutes watching a news program. I want to go straight to Twitter. Let me check and see what this politician is posting. Let me go ahead and see what they're posting on TikTok. I want to laugh at something. And I feel like this election has really, really dived into that. Both with Trump and Harris. I've seen both on both ends, Trump using social media, specifically X. I see all of his stuff on X. And then also on TikTok, Harris's team using TikTok and doing trends and stuff like that. And I think that really dives into the younger generation, which we had discussed. But it also does it really matter, because are they going out there to vote? And I think that was our biggest question was, does social media play a role, and are they actually going out? You can watch it all day, but are the younger generations going out there to vote? And do you think there's going to be a lot larger demographic of younger adults going out to vote this election season?
Well, and that we don't know yet. At least I've not seen figures on it. There may be more younger people out voting this year. Certainly there'd be that expectation, I think, with the larger number of young people who have been registered to vote. I think Taylor Swift had a lot to do with some of that.
Look, I'm a Swiftie all day long, okay? So, that only helped me a little bit sway my vote. I'm just saying, but...
And she may have had as much impact as in my mind, as social media did.
Yeah. So kind of going off of that, we talked about social media, but let's talk about celebrities. Celebrities have really put endorsements out for both campaigns, Trump and Harris. Back when you were younger, in your younger years, were there a lot of celebrity endorsements back then also, or is this just something new that's come along in the last, 8 years?
Well, back when I was younger, we didn't have celebrities. But I don't remember them being so involved in politics and so much out there hosting shows for them, for example. There was some of that, but there was not perhaps quite as many celebrities as was true this election cycle.
Do you think that's a negative, just in a personal end of it, do you think that's a negative or a positive thing for either campaign?
Well, I don't know that it's a negative, certainly. You get help from whomever you can get it from.
Right.
One of the slogans that I grew up with about politics was that 75% of what happens in a campaign makes no difference. The problem is we don't know which 75% it is.
Oh.
So it's a matter of throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, out there to try to make some difference and have some sort of impact. And that's where social media comes in, just as newspapers and magazines and TV and radio come in.
Yeah.
Social media is one of those entrees out there to public opinion, and you try to use it. And one of the things that bothers me about the social media, as well as the 1 and 2 minute ads that you see on TV is that they are so superficial.
Oh, I agree.
And it's hard to say that they provide much information.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed this, and I think we're going to come right back right after this short break. Thank you.
Yeah, Sam, Elmo. Oh, hey, Julia. Are you ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet. And Elmo's going to play his drum.
Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
Mm-hmm. With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. As veterans, we can tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. But you've never been interested in easy. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
National and state voting numbers are coming in now. The Associated Press reports former President Donald Trump secured Tennessee and Arkansas. Trump also won Florida on Tuesday for the third consecutive election, earning the state's 30 electoral votes. Democratic President hopeful Kamala Harris won Delaware and New Jersey, both solid blue states. Delaware has 3 electoral votes. New Jersey has 14 electoral votes. The Associated Press also called Marsha Blackburn the winner of the U.S. Senate race for Tennessee, defeating Democratic challenger Gloria Johnson. Well, for now, let's see what Lucy and Quintavious are up to at the Republican convention.
Sorry, we're having technical difficulties.
Okay. Sorry about that, folks. We're currently having some technical difficulties. Here's a quick rundown of the 4 key races at the state of Tennessee. The U.S. Senate race between incumbent Marsha Blackburn and Democratic challenger Gloria Johnson is the only statewide race on the ballot this year. Blackburn is heavily favored in Tennessee, mostly a red state, while Johnson made headlines for gun control, promotes the Tennessee 3 expulsion hearings that rocketed the legislator. The second key race is Tennessee's House District 75, pitting first game candidate Allie Phillips against Jeff Barkhart, a Republican from Clarksville. This race is important. The Tennessean newspaper says because Tennessee Democrats for any chance to get a seat for their caucus, no matter how slim the odds. The third key race is Tennessee House District 97, where Democrat Jesse Hussey is challenging Representative John Gillespie, a Republican from Memphis. Democrats are optimistic that they could grab the competitive seat and hopefully energize their base and boost their changes for the 2006 elections. The last important race which could impact communities for many of us is the Nashville Transit referendum on the ballot in Davidson County. Nashville, the plan is more than $3 billion could levy a half-cent sales tax hike to pay for transit projects such as extended bus routes. This plan also includes improved road coordinates, sidewalks, and other infrastructure features.
The polls have shown that presidential nominees Harris and Trump are in a tight race. However, it's also clear that Harris has an advantage with women voters, while Trump holds an advantage with men. Those polls come as remarks about women at Trump's events are receiving a lot of attention. Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook joins us to detail the gender divide.
While former President Donald Trump has spent a lot of his time on the campaign trail working to reach young men, Vice President Kamala Harris has made reproductive rights, an issue that of course impacts women directly, central to her campaign. And polling shows that there is a gender gap when it comes to their supporters. In the final sprint toward Election Day, polling shows a gender divide. While former President Donald Trump holds an advantage with men, Vice President Kamala Harris has a similar lead when it comes to women voters. Trump's one-time primary rival, Nikki Haley, who endorsed him after dropping out of the race, is warning his campaign to be careful with how they speak about women.
You've got affiliated PACs that are doing commercials about calling Kamala the C word, or you had speakers at Madison Square Gardens, referring to her and her pimps. That is not the way to win women.
During a rally this week, the former president doubled down on a line about protecting women. A message he said his advisors warned against using.
They pay these guys a lot of money, can you believe it? I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them.
Harris has made issues that impact women like reproductive freedom central to her campaign and pushed back against Trump's claim he would serve as a, quote, protector.
It actually is, I think, very offensive to women in terms of not understanding their agency, their authority, their right, and their ability to make decisions about their own lives, including their own bodies.
The Harris campaign recently launched new ads targeting men in battleground states, continuing outreach as they work to close the deficit she faces with male voters. The Harris campaign also argues that reproductive freedom should be a top priority for male voters as well, because of the impact it could have on the lives of the women in their lives. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
We got the audio address. Let's see what Lucy is up to at the Republican convention.
Thanks for that, Lucy. Now let's hear more from Mo and Dr. Canarvio about this voting gender gap.
All right, Dr. Canarvo, we're back, and thank you guys for still sticking around with us. We're pretty excited. This election has been pretty vast, to be honest. There's still a lot of outcome to happen, and we can't wait to see what it is. Dr. Canarvo, let's talk about some gender gaps. Clearly, me and you do have a gender gap. I do like to joke around just in case you haven't noticed. Yeah, so let's talk about that. What does that look like when it comes to voting in this election? Like you had previously said, there is a larger amount of a younger generation registering, you got me, registering to vote. But does that matter when it comes to them actually voting? What do you think about that?
Well, we have to see what the turnout numbers for that end up being. It seems to me that generally only about 50% of young voters do turn out to vote, whereas it's higher for older people. Younger people tend to be very busy. They're either in school or have jobs. They are just starting their careers. They are torn in lots of different ways, and they don't seem to be in a point yet in their lives where they see politics and political decisions as all that important for them, though in fact obviously it really is, because what they pay in taxes, what their job opportunities may be, what kind of infrastructure they get to work on or to travel on. All of those things and more, Social Security, having their educational costs forgiven, all of those things and more are decided by political decision makers. And so who's in office makes a difference.
I 100% agree with you. I am part of an older generation. I'm not, but I am a college student still. And I've come to find that college students, loan forgiveness sounds great, but they don't think about what comes with the taxes and stuff like that. Where me now, my outlook on politics is different because I have a husband and kids and a child that is has a developmental delay. My son's autistic, and so a lot of those platforms that Trump and Harris have ran on really plays on how I vote, whereas a young adult that's in college, that's not on their grand scheme of thinking. You know what I mean? It's not on the forefront. And back then when I was younger, it wasn't on my forefront either. But I think that it's important that we get the information out there, and then they do what they can with it. Like you said, and plus when you're in college, you're busy, you're working, you're trying to get classes done, you're trying to do papers and stuff. So yeah, politics isn't that important. But in the long run, if they knew that how big of an impact that mattered, and just to say, I had ran into a young adult and I said, hey, are you going to go vote? And I think the biggest disappointment was he said, my vote doesn't matter. And I think it's important to let our younger generation know that their vote matters. How you voted back when you were younger is now affecting how I vote, now, it's generational. And I think it's important whether you vote either way, left or right, it doesn't matter. But as long as your voice is heard, I think that's important. And I feel like you would think the same also. A big thing now is like Social Security. I mean, I'm not affected by it now. I know I pay into it, but that's a concern for you. And is there any like real policies, like generational policies like Social Security, anything like that, Medicaid and stuff? Is that any of that important to our younger generation now? How does it affect them? Or why is it important is what I'm asking.
Well, Medicare and Medicaid could affect them. There are certainly some younger people who get Medicaid because of injuries or developmental problems of one kind or another, and they're eligible for it because they are below a certain income level.
Yeah.
And so that makes them eligible, even at a young age. So there are things that are important. Those who are survivors of a breadwinner who has unfortunately died, the survivors' children will get benefits through Social Security until the age of 18. Mm-hmm. So each of these things is very important. And of course, the ultimate concern, I think, for today is the future of the Earth itself.
Yes.
With global warming, some scientists are saying that by 2050 or 2080, there are going to be parts of the Earth which are uninhabitable because of the heat. And it's going to mean crops cannot be grown, so there'll be food shortages, there will be mass migration from one area to another. It will be a very tragic situation.
Yeah.
And it won't affect me, it may not affect you, but it might affect your children or your grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And it's those sorts of events which come up, which are so terribly crucial for people to be knowledgeable about and thinking about. Mm-hmm. If you're an 18-year-old just out of high school, you have roughly 60 years yet to live. It's a long time.
Yeah, and it kind of, yeah, 60 years, seems like a long time.
Well, on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
it certainly, it may pass quickly, but it does take you through the rest of your life. And there are all sorts of things that can happen at that period of time, whether it's your own health, whether it's a member of your family's health, whether it's a housing situation, climate. Think about all those folks in California, for example, who lost their houses because of wildfires.
Yeah.
They had no control over that, and it was one of those things that happened, and climate change played a role in that.
I agree. Well, we'll be discussing more about this in a minute. We'll be right back after this short break with some more election updates.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
Great having you. Incredible women. I wish they had those kind of cool careers for women when we were growing up.
So in this flashback, we're all the same age?
Yeah.
What does everyone want to be when they grow up?
If I say 2 jobs, do I get extra credit?
No.
I want to make games. I want to revolutionize 3D printing. I want to analyze data from the cloud.
I want to be a meteor.
You mean meteorologist?
No.
That's great, Al. Follow your dreams.
For the record, I was a baby in the 70s.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Well, we got the audio address, so let's see what Lucy's up to at the Republican convention.
We apologize about the technical difficulties once again. Early voting was up this election, but 50% of young voters plan to wait until Election Day to cast their ballot this election cycle. Marcus Freeman uncovers why their youth voter turnout matters.
This election covers many issues, but one of the most important is the lack of youth voters. Elections Commissioner Amanda Joslin tells us why voting is important.
It's your right to vote. So, I think people should take the opportunity to voice their opinion.
Dr. Michael Bednarczyk, head of the Political Science Division at Austin Peay State University, gives insight into one of the most pressing issues for youth voters.
A big hurdle for young adults is the registration process. For many of them, they're unfamiliar with voting. It's something that they've not done. So as soon as they are registered and they understand what that process is like, that sets them up to become lifelong voters.
Based on statistical data, there are 144,236 registered voters in Montgomery County, which is a 13% increase since last election. However, there's been a 35% increase in youth voters at the national level, which could signify an increase for future elections.
What advice would you give to first-time voters?
It's your duty as an American to vote.
I'm Marcus Freeman with APSU-TV.
Let's hear from Marcus and Julian live from the Democratic Watch Party.
So I got my pull-ups. Hi, but yeah, but before that happens, first I want to say thank you to everybody that is here today. Super important you guys to help us get to this point. But also there's something else really special going on tonight. It's my husband's birthday. So if you guys can join me saying happy birthday to Brian. We're at the
Education is taking center stage in the battle for Tennessee's Senate District 22 seat. Let's hear from Aiden Hosey with more on the story.
The Tennessee District 22 race is spotlighting education as one of its central issues. Democratic candidate Karen Reynolds advocates for fully funded public schools. Reynolds has previously criticized recent moves to divert resources through voucher programs and reject federal funding, which she argues undermines public education.
But they want to give $7,025, I think that's the amount, per child to private schools. But public schools only get $5,025. The only reason that we have a voucher program at the state level is because they don't like our choices at the local level. And I think that that interference needs to stop, and we need to let local governments, govern their own communities and do our job at the state level. And that would be healthcare and making sure that their choices are fully funded equitably and with equality throughout the state.
We reached out to Senator Bill Powers for comment, but he was unavailable. Powers has supported school choice initiatives that allow public funds to follow students to private schools. He has argued that these measures offer parents more options for their children's education.
I don't think it would exactly take money away from the public schools, because I attended the last meeting about a budget with Montgomery County, and it was
they got grant
millions of dollars remaining from the special education department. They shouldn't have a penny left.
On November 5th, residents will decide which candidate can best support and shape the future of education in Tennessee. I'm Aiden Hosey with APSU-TV News.
Let's check back in with our anchors at the All GO.
Hi, I'm Lucy Wilkinson with APSU-TV News. The last couple times you saw me, we had some technical difficulties, but right now we're here at the Appleton Harley-Davidson with the Republican Party. As you can see behind us, we've got a packed house in here tonight. The energy is really alive. Everybody's ringing their cowbells, shaking their pom-poms. We've heard some booing and some cheering. Right now, we've got a couple Republican local candidates in the lead. Mark Green, Aaron Mayberry, Jeff Burkhart right now. There's a lot of eyes on this election right now. There's a couple topics that are really important. Infrastructure, economy, military support, being so close to Fort Campbell. We've had some really good voter turnout, a lot with the early voting with this last week. But I know everybody here is really excited. We did speak to a couple people this evening. I know Kevin Kennedy, he's a public figure. He is here this evening. We had Lori Mason come and speak with us. She's the vice chair of the GOP. And we've had a really good experience here tonight. The energy is really great. We're watching this election unfold right now. I know that our couple of candidates in here are kind of waiting excitedly. I'm sure a little anxiously I would be. But everybody in here is really excited to be here. And it's a great energy. So we are really excited. And, a lot of these topics are going to push us into a new future for Clarksville. We're going to go in some new directions with some of these candidates. So I know we're all really excited to see what happens. The Election Commission, I know we're awaiting very anxiously for their results to be posted, but there's a couple people in the lead, like I said, right now. Mark Green, Jeff Burkhart, Aaron Mayberry. So I have seen Aaron Mayberry in here tonight. We're supposed to see Jeff Burkhart and Jamie Dean Peltz later on this evening. So we're really excited to see them as well. So yeah, like I said, we're here at the Appleton Harley-Davidson with the Republican Party. We're watching the election unfold tonight on this big screen over here. We've got the projector going. I know we have the chair. Mr. Doug England is here tonight as well. We've got a couple different media outlets too, some photographers from the Tennessean, Clarksville Now, and I even think we saw somebody from Clarksville today. So there's a lot of media coverage at this event right now. But we're really excited to be here. Everybody's been really excited to talk to APSU-TV News as well. So I'm hoping we can snag some interviews from some viewers later. But yeah, we're just watching right now, waiting to see what happens and waiting to see where everything unfolds. So I know that we will probably hear from Q, maybe Isabel and Michael later. But we've been watching from out here in the studio, so we're excited to see where all of this takes us. So yeah, yes, we're really excited to be here. I know they've got yes, it's been a great time. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you so much for that. Well, guys, since we have a moment, let's check in with Mo and Dr. Canarvio about the importance.
All right, thanks again, guys. We're back. I'm glad we finally got Lucy on there. I'm excited to see her. I see they're partying it up at the Republican Party, and hopefully we'll get to see what's happening at the Democratic Party. So let's talk. We got early results in, and it seems like Tennessee went ahead and went with Trump, and we become a supermajority, which is no surprise. I don't think we thought anything different. I feel like the Democrats held a good campaign, but Republicans came on top for Tennessee. Let's talk about that, though. We have new candidates that are stepping into the seats, and I'm hopeful to see that they enact policies, not just for one side of the aisle, but for both sides of the aisle. And I think that's important. I think we need to get back to candidates going for the people. I think it's so. Candidates are so idolized now, and I think that it's very politicized and kind of wishy-washy a little bit on both ends. And I would hope that with these candidates coming in, that we see hands reaching over both aisles. What do you think, Dr. Canarvo?
Well, I must admit I'm a little bit pessimistic about that.
Yeah.
With the supermajority by the Republicans in both houses, there was not much of that going on the last session of the General Assembly, or the session before that. And so it's a matter of, I think, the Republican and Democratic parties somehow having to find a middle ground where they can work together.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're at that point yet. One of the unfortunate things, whether it's the Democrats in control or the Republicans in control, when you have one party too much in control, they tend to take advantage of that and run over the other party.
Yeah.
Democrats did it when they were in control and we were a Democratic state. Republicans are doing it now. We really need a more competitive two-party state, it seems to me. One where there's equal chances or almost equal chances for Republicans and Democrats to win most districts. Right now, the districts have been gerrymandered to the point where they are pretty safe for the Republicans in most cases.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if we could find a good middle ground in politics, I think that would make the world great, right? Now can we do that? I don't know. But let's go back to our anchors and see what they got coming on up.
Make sure to stay with us. We'll be back with more right after this short break.
Worried about your friend but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's all good if you think you should check in. Yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Hero doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Well, let's get a quick update on the current polls. According to the Montgomery County Election Commission, we have Donald Trump at 28,691 and Kamala Harris with 21,084 votes. Currently, looking at the live election, Harris is at 99 electoral votes and Trump is currently at 177 electoral votes. Currently, Blackburn is at 28,000 and Johnson is at 19,000. Green is at 27,000 and Barry is at 19,000. Powers is at 27,000 and Reynolds is with 18,000. Dean Pelt is at 6,300 and Glenn is at 6,700. Mayberry is at 14,000 and Scott is at 7,000. Burkhart is at 6,000 while Phillips is at 5,000. Peters is at 762 while Whitcomb is at 512. Marquise is at 1,300 while McDonald is at 871. Haywood takes the lead of 772. Second, Jemison at 617. Dawson at 569 and Morals at 543. Brown at 917, Davis at 529, Childs at 487, and Epps at 365. Billen is at 734, Jackson at 828, and Lovato at 1,000. Let's check back in with our anchors at the Democratic Watch Party.
Thank you. We are here at the Democratic Watch Party, and people are eagerly awaiting the announcement of our new candidates. That being said, folks are having a great time. The interview draws out tonight, but it's been amazing. We started out at the ABC, and so many students showed up. It's such a high energy, such high energy. This election. That being said, now that we're here, we have sparing over, and community has so much support here. We just celebrated a birthday party. All are together. What are thoughts? This community is united. There are lots of awesome people, alumni here tonight. Proud to be a student of APSU. Obviously, having rich history, starting with our government itself. It's just been amazing. It's been very special, especially to be to be involved in such a production like this. It's just been amazing. It's such an amazing opportunity, and we are so proud of our community. Thank you.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR. It's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should. Whatever gets you talking.
reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Hero doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that I would never be able to get over it and that my kids wouldn't have a father. I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. For the longest time, fear held me back from ultimately being who I wanted to. I had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
Oh, man. I can't believe I'm missing this. Okay, Grandma. I see you. Don't be.
Let's take a moment to hear about a 90-year-old woman in Virginia who has dedicated her life to working at the election polls. Michelle Marsh has the story.
Thank you so much for coming.
This election day, 89-year-old Pauline Gerhardt is working her 85th election. She's the county's longest-serving election officer.
I enjoy helping people.
She's a familiar face for many, greeting voters as they arrive and sending them home with a small token to remember election 2024.
They really seem to look forward to seeing you to get that sticker.
I have been so happy to see so many people from other years.
When did your passion for voting begin?
When I was probably 5, I went with my mother, and I thought it was such fun.
That mother-daughter tradition would continue.
Well, I knew it was sort of inevitable that I would become an election officer just because Mother instilled in all of her children that it's so very important to serve your community.
Her daughter Beth Gerhardt is the chief election officer at her precinct.
The very first election that I served in was the 1996 election, and Mom was chief up at our local precinct, and several officers, for whatever reason, did not show up that day. And she called the county, and they said, just find somebody that you trust to fill in. And so she nabbed me.
But if you think Pauline is ready to retire after this year's election, think again.
How much longer do you think you'll be doing this?
Well, until I'm pulling the dirt over.
With the presidential race being too close to call, you may be feeling stress, anxiety, worry, or all of the above. Well, mental health experts say it's important to feel all of those emotions. It's also critical to take a step back and focus on managing that stress. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gather has more on how to cope with election emotions today and after it's all said and done.
After months of campaigning, it's the day America has been waiting for. If you're feeling anxious about the election outcome, you're not alone.
What keeps recurring, in the patients that I've been taking care of, it's just the degree of uncertainty. And I think for a lot of folks, being able to tolerate that is very, very difficult.
Dr. Nicole Tarui with El Camino Health says the first step to managing election emotions is to tune into your own personal needs. You alone know your capacity to manage stress and anxiety, so she says to key into your feelings and be aware of early warning signs that you may be getting getting overwhelmed.
Being able to assess our bodies, how are we feeling? And then being able to recognize when we need to take a step back and focus in around self-care.
Terui says that self-care can include deep breathing, practicing mindfulness, maintaining a healthy routine. She also recommends what she calls worry time.
So just like 10 to 15 minutes per day, journaling about some of those worries and fears, and then being able to close that and put that away for the day and knowing you can return to that the next day.
During the election and afterwards, Terui says the support of friends and family makes it easier to process difficult things. So she says to stay connected. And no matter the election outcome, she says be mindful of the things you can control.
It's a lot easier said than done, but I think that when we can really hone in our energy on the things that we do control and let go of the things we don't, it can help us move forward even in the event we're faced with an outcome we don't like.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The psychiatrist says after the election is over, the holidays will be right around the corner. She says to be mindful of tough conversations that may be on the horizon. She suggests being proactive and having a conversation in advance and setting boundaries, explaining that what you want to enjoy holiday time together, even if there are differing opinions about the election outcome.
All right, let's check back in with our anchors at the GOP.
We're back here at the Harley-Davidson GOP Republican Watch Party. Aaron Mayberry just won District 68, and he just gave a very heartfelt speech about his victory. It was very heartfelt. It was very emotional. It was very amazing. He is all about education, and the Montgomery County residents are still awaiting the other results from other candidates. But Aaron Mayberry is here. He is happy. He is thriving, and education is also a big focus here in Montgomery County. Several of the candidates are running on platforms for education, and Aaron Mayberry is also other candidates here. We're having an amazing time. We're hearing booing, we're hearing cheering, we're hearing all of the in between, all of the emotions. All of this is going great. The food is amazing. It's loud. It is very energetic. We are having a great time here. I hope you guys are also having a great time watching, just as we are here at the Republican House, the Harley-Davidson. The best place to be tonight for the Republican Party. We are just amazing. We are vibing. The energy is great. There is another speech going on right now. They are awaiting and giving some more results to us right now. Thank you so much. We are still having a great time tonight. The energy, once again, there's cowbells going. There's cheering, there's food, and everything is just going great and amazing. All the other candidates that are here, they are having as y'all can see, there's still cheering going on. It is all positive vibes, all happiness, all great, all amazing. Adults are in the spirit of Appleton here, and the energy, like I said, is just electric. Everything is just vibing. As soon as we got here, they welcomed us here with open arms. The hospitality here is absolutely amazing, just as well as they are definitely taking very good care of us. And the Republican people are just really great. They are very kind, and I am so happy to be here. And I cannot anymore. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Come back with us later.
A Virginia diner's election-themed menu takes no prisoners, serving up jabs to both sides of the political aisle. Elizabeth Holmes visited the diner in Middletown to get a look at what patrons thought on the menu items that included Mamala's meatloaf and the Trump burger.
I want it all.
Something for everybody.
It's a hard choice.
Under the retro neon lights in River City Diner, election news playing in the background. These customers aren't concerned about how they'll cast their ballot. Are you all ready? They're too busy choosing
the J.D. Vance Country Fried Steak,
what they want on their plate.
I have something really funny to show you.
It's certainly very humorous on food.
Their Election Day specials.
Got a Trump burger. Okay.
This is huge.
Sounds like him.
Tim Waltz's breakfast sandwich, never been served. Yeah.
Biden's boozy blackberry lemonade, which is a mouthful for me.
All-American diversity So I said, let's try it.
Playing on politicians vying for the White House.
It's like a vote.
Is serving up laughs on both sides of the aisle.
I mean, it's witty, you know?
This morning, everybody that came in was really laughing about it and enjoying it.
Even if the list of choices
Coming right up, y'all.
leaves some undecided.
Republican, and that's Democrat. This is the independent right here.
I'd probably order a sample of all of these. And you know what? They'd all be good.
We're still all Americans now.
Some regulars taking the chance.
Do you like the specials?
It's on something new.
It's kind of funny, right?
Unity soup.
It's a pumpkin curry soup. It was really good. I gave it a try.
Guess what?
You gonna give it a try?
Give it a try.
And the results are in.
It's 7 cents.
Good, good.
No matter what meal or president they'll pick, there's one thing everyone in here can agree on.
You all did good, or whoever did very good with writing this up.
It's fabulous, and I took a picture of it and I posted it on Facebook for my friends.
You got diversity, you got choice, okay? It's funny, okay? It's the funny bone.
It's home cooking, hot dogs, baseball, apple pie.
In Midlothian, I'm Elizabeth Holmes.
Because the one thing that we have in common is that this soil that we stand on here is the best in the world.
I've got 2 updated numbers for you guys. Let's take a look. Brown is at 1,000, Childs at 556, Davis at 607, and Epps at 408. Billen at 890, Jackson at 1,000, and Lovato taking the lead at 1,370. Let's see if they have any more news for us at the Democratic Convention.
Oh, we are here at the Democratic Watch Party, and it is a packed house. I couldn't even find a spot to park on the floor here. It took me almost 35 minutes just to find a spot. But as you can see, we got all the people here. We got public figures like Karen Reynolds, Scott Garfield, Garfield Scott, Alan Phillips. It was a crazy night. But I know they don't have the projectors working, so they can't see the number now. So everybody's on their phones, the computers, just trying to catch up and see what's going on. But and see what the numbers are looking like, because everybody is on the other seat. And it is a crazy night to see, because we got young voters up here, we got older voters, the Democratic Party for being able to see this voting to make a change, to see what issues are really going to change this year. That's why people are here, to make a stand. And come out here and try to make a difference, because people want to have their voices heard, and they want to so, people are cheering, they're clapping, they're watching those numbers come in, just trying to figure out who the next president may be, who the next ward of our community may be, and they just what is going on. Like I said, they're just having so much fun here. Everybody is in such a great bond, such a good mood. I got to talk to a couple people talking about the Allie Phillips campaign, the coordinator of Allie Phillips campaign, talking about how she was having so much fun and how she has lived here for so long and been a red state for so long, but she wants to see some of that change and see what we can make this a blue state. And she really believes that this year could be the year to make a difference, especially with all the early voters going on. And people at Pageant Lane trying to make a difference in young voters. That's the biggest thing, having young voters out there makes a difference. Because if you have young voters out there to make a difference, that's where it really changes. That's where it really we see the change to make a difference. Last thing I would think that's going on today, and everybody in there is just, that's the one thing that I would say is crazy this year. Issues. And then let's see. I'm trying to think about the last one. As you can see, we got people here coming up with food. We got people back there taking seats right there. It's a packed house tonight. People over at the bars and drinks. They're just trying to figure out what is going on with the election. So, it is a great time to be here at the Democratic Party watch party at that. And packed house as it is. So there are issues. Some of the issues that are going on that they're talking about, they want to talk about the traffic that are going on here in Clarksville, or the abortion that's going on out here. That is one of the big things that the Democratic Party wants to make a difference on. So I will enough over here at the watch party. Back to you guys in the studio.
We've got another update on the polls for you guys. For the United States President, Donald Trump is at 33,000 and Kamala Harris is at 23,000. Blackburn is at 32,000 and Johnson is at 22,000. Green is at 32,000 and Berry is at 22,000. Powers is at 32,000 and Reynolds is at 21,000. Peltz is at 7,000 and Glenn is at 7,000. They're close for the Tennessee House of Representative District 67. For District 68, Mayberry, 18,000. Scott, 8,000. Let's check back with Mo and Dr. Canero. Burkhart for District 75 is 6,000 and Phillips is at 5,000. Peters for Council Ward 3 is 762. Wilcomb is at 512. Marcus is at 1,000 and McDonald for Council Ward 5, 871 for McDonald. Ward 8, Dawson is at 569. Haywood is at 772. Jimson is at 617 and Morales is at 543. For Ward 9, Brown is at 1,000. Childs is at 556, Davis at 607, and Epps at 408. Ballon for Ward 12 is at 890, Jackson 1,000, Lovato at 1,300 for Ward 12. All right, let's check back with Mo and Dr. Canero.
Hey guys, I'm Monique and I'm here with Dr. Canarvo, and we're back. If you're still sticking with us, hey, thanks guys. We got some election results in for our local elections, but me and Dr. Canarvo are going to talk about some, not local, but presidential election. So right now, according to the Associated Press, it's saying that Trump has 178 of the electoral votes and Harris has 99 of them. That seems like a lot. That seems like it's going in Trump's favor. But can we talk about how that it's still too early to call? We still have a lot of states that aren't in right now. California, Georgia, New Mexico is still being called. Arizona, all of those West states are still waiting to be counted. Can you just elaborate a little bit on why it's so early to call and why it probably isn't a good idea to call the race?
Well, most likely Harris is going to win California. That's the biggest prize out of all of the states. It's the largest population, and so it's the most electoral votes. So that will bring her closer to Trump once that vote comes in. The other states are swing states, and they're very, very, very close last time. Arizona, of course, was very close. Georgia, as we know, is very close.
Yeah.
I assume they have not called Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania yet.
They have not. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania have not been called. They are in her favor, but we don't want to call them too early until all those results are in.
That's right.
Those swing states are still up in the air.
Well, if she wins California and those three northern swing states,
it could be in her favor.
It could bring her very, very close to certainly tying where Trump is or even taking the lead. So it's too early to call at this point. We really have to wait until someone reaches 270 electoral votes. 270 is what's required to win.
Yeah.
And so...
Which I think it's important to let people know 270 is the number we want to get to before we start calling out names, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so Baylor and Bree ran an ad saying, hey, mental health is important. This is a stressful time, right? I know everybody's sitting on their seats. Whoever you voted for, we're all sitting on our seats trying to figure out what's the outcome. Well, guess what? We got a little bit more time to wait. Hey, if you're sitting at home, if you're eating, drinking, doing whatever, take your time, breathe. It's okay, right, Dr. Canarvo?
That's right. You need to relax and
yeah,
enjoy,
it's too early.
Enjoy the moment, so to speak.
Yeah, this is a historic moment for us, and any election is historic, right? We're putting people in office, and that matters, and that is gonna influence what happens in our lives. And I know, like, for me, that is stressful sometimes. And I bet for everybody else watching, that is stressful. And sometimes we have to remember, hey, it's okay. Let's breathe. Whatever the outcome may be, guess what? We're still going to wake up in the morning and go to work, right? Or go to school, you know?
Right. Now, have they called either Florida or North Carolina?
So they have called Florida for Trump, and they have called North Carolina for Trump, according to the Associated Press.
Okay.
So, you know, just make sure that, I know those are not, Florida used to be a swing state, is that?
Used to be, but it's not so much anymore.
Right.
But Georgia was considered a swing state.
They have not called North Carolina. I am sorry. I do apologize about that. That's the one thing about being live on TV. Guess what? There's stuff that happens all the time, and they have not called North Carolina yet. So that's still up in the air. I think Pennsylvania is, you know, a big play. I know that both campaigns really went hard to those swing states, with Harris being in Pennsylvania, with Trump going down to, I believe he was just in Wisconsin or Michigan or one of those states. Right. You know, those Midwest states are important. You know, which, you know, they hold big electoral votes for those candidates. Right. So I can understand why. And you're right, California probably will go blue, and that does hold the biggest amount of electoral votes. So, like Dr. Carnarvo said, hey, don't rush it, okay? It'll happen. We were talking earlier, and we were talking about how President Biden, his election results didn't get confirmed until, what, Thursday?
I think that's right.
Yeah,
yes.
The Thursday. And so, who knows? Hey, we may be waiting it out till Thursday to find out who the president is. Hopefully we don't, but hey, who knows? Well, we're going to go ahead and toss it back down to our anchors, and we're going to check them out and see what's happening, and hopefully you'll get to see us again.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Thanks for sticking with us, and welcome back. Let's check back in with our anchors at the GOP watch party.
Republican watch party. We've had a lot of emotions here for the red wave, as Mark Green and Bill Powers just got voted in. Mark Green for the Congress, and then Bill Powers, the Senate. Bill Powers gave a pretty good speech talking about the supporters that he has in the same building. Just a quick rundown of the four key candidates or races in Tennessee. We have the U.S. Senate race between the incumbent Marsha Blackburn and Democratic challenger Gloria Johnson. It's a statewide race on the ballot this year. Blackburn is heavily favored in Tennessee, as I said, mostly a red state, while Johnson made headlines for gun controls protests in the Tennessee 3 exploitation hearings that rocked the legislature. The second key race is Tennessee House District 75, putting first-time candidate Allie Phillips against incumbent Republican Jeff Burkhart. A Republican from Clarksville, this race is important because the newspaper says Democrats are hopeful for any chance to get a seat, no matter how the odds. The third key race that we have today is Tennessee House District 97, where Democratic Jesse Huston is challenging incumbent Representative John Giuseppe, a Republican from Memphis. Democrats are optimistic that they could grab the competitive seat and hopefully energize their base and boost their chances in the 2026 election. The last important race, which can impact many of us commute times, is the ballot in Davidson County. In Nashville, the plan where $3 billion could lie by a half-cent sales tax hike to pay for transit projects such as extended bus routes. The plan also includes improved road corridors and sidewalks and other infrastructure features. Definitely something for Clarksville that we need because as a growing city, most people cannot drive here. So given the infrastructure for people to get to places as they need be. Once again, at the watch party where everyone cheers and smiles for the red wave. We'll keep you updated on any more of the races that we have going on. But as of right now, the only ones that we have are Mark Green, Bill Powers, and Aaron McBerry. But thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.
Now let's talk with our anchors at the Democratic Watch Party.
Hey guys, I'm Marcus here again with the Democratic Party. The energy here is out of this world, it's ecstatic. Some of the issues they've been talking about are the abortion laws, the trafficking cartels, some of the roads need to be fixed, and Project 2025 is even getting discussed. But for the most part, a lot of women are leaning towards the abortion bill because Tennessee is a red state. It has been for years, and we would like to change for women to make decisions on their bodies that men should have to say in it. Well, another one of the things is the road issue. Traffic cows that are they're trying to figure out how to get some roads constructed. It would be best for that. What I've heard, we have the numbers from one of the races. However, we're not sure who it was that won, so we hope we'll have the details for you. But as we continue our night, it's very nice. Thank you. And we had a great time here. I never knew politics would be this serious, but I've had a good time thus far. We appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to keep giving you guys coverage. And one of the main issues is the abortion bill. One of the candidates, Allie Phillips, she said that she had to leave Tennessee for an abortion. So we really want to just try to give a shout out to them, make sure it's basically changed. I'm watching.
Thank you for this update, guys. Now let's hear from our special guest, Curtis, live from Clarksville Now.
Good evening. I'm Curtis LeBlanc with Clarksville Now and APSU. We're hearing a lot from the races, a lot of close races, but generally Republicans are winning in most of them. Marsha Blackburn was called for winning the state of Tennessee. Markey Green is ahead, very far ahead, and has been called by several organizations. One of the only city wards that we have called so far is for Amber Marquise, who has one city ward cancel 5 re-election, which was an interesting race considering her opponent, Randall McDonald, dropped out, but wasn't able to get his name off the ballot beforehand. So that race was quickly finished. And from the early vote totals, Jeff Burkhart and Allie Phillips for Tennessee House Representative District 75 are very close. It's 7,300 to 6,600. So it is a very close election there. And so far, Jerry Haywood is in the lead for City Council Ward 8, but not by much. He has 939 votes, and the closest second is Dwight Jameson with 745. And so far, when it comes to City Council Ward 9, Jimmy Brown is in a comfortable lead of 1,400 votes. We might be able to call that one soon. And Carrie Lovato is in the lead for Ward 12. She might win re-election. We might also call that one soon. So far, I'm looking through it. There were a couple races like Ward 4 with Tim Chandler. He ran unopposed, and Charles Smith for city judge. He ran unopposed. And for Ward 3, Carlos Peters looks like he's going to win with 1,100 votes to 700. We might call that one soon. The closest race of the night would be Tennessee House District 67, which has Ronnie Glenn, the Democrat, leading with 8,966 to Republicans' 8,789. So that is the closest race for everyone to watch. And I'll bring it back to Marcus. That's everything.
Now let's get some more updates from the polls. 20 out of the 38 precincts are reported. For our United States presidents, Donald Trump takes the lead with 38,000 and Harris with 27,000. For our United States Senate, Blackburn with 37,000 and Johnson with 25,000. For our U.S. House of Representative District, Green takes the lead with 37,000 and Berry with 25,000. For our Tennessee Senate District 22, Powers takes the lead with 37,000 and Reynolds with 24,000. Tennessee House of Representative District 67, Dean Peltz with 8,700 and Glenn with 8,900. For our Tennessee House of Representative District 68, Mayor Berry with 21,000 and Scott with 9,900. For District 75, Burkhart with 7,000 and Phillips with 6,000. For our City Council, Ward 3, Peters with 1,100 and Whitcomb with 756. For our City Council, Ward 5, Marquise with 1,900 and McDonald with 1,300. For our City Council, Ward 8, Dawson with 663, Haywood with 939, Jemison with 745, and Morals with 657. For our City Council, Ward 9, Brown taking the lead with 1,400, Childs with 735, Davis with 956, and Epps with 564. For City Council Ward 12, Blaine with 1,000, Jackson with 1,100, and Lovato with 1,500.
Hero doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Great having you. Incredible women. I wish they had those kind of cool careers for women when we were growing up.
So in this flashback, we're all the same age?
Yeah.
What does everyone want to be when they grow up?
If I say 2 jobs, do I get extra credit?
No.
I want to make immersive video games. I want to revolutionize 3D printing. I want to analyze data from the cloud.
I want to be a meteor.
You mean meteorologist?
No.
That's great, Al. Follow your dreams.
For the record, I was a baby in the 70s.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Thanks for sticking around. Let's hear some final thoughts from Mo and Dr. Canervo.
All right, Dr. Canervo, we are finishing up here. We got our local results in, and we've got a good majority of them in. And I know that the candidates who won are excited, and the candidates who didn't, I hope they run again and they, hopefully get a little bit better platform. It has been a pleasure to talk. Let's talk presidential real quick. We are still too early to call. So at the end of the night, when we go home, we're still going to be in the air. Hopefully, we'll be excited to find out who wins. Do you have any closing thoughts about maybe how we should be feeling about this election?
Well, I certainly congratulate all of those who won tonight. They all worked hard and did what they needed to do
to
pull it out. The presidential race looks like it's going to be a long night.
It is going to be a long night, maybe a long day tomorrow too.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be something, and we're going to figure it out, right? Like I said, just final thoughts. Mental health matters, and we want to remember that no matter what the outcome of this presidential election is. And in the next 4 years, hey, guess what? Go out there and vote, right? That's the whole premise of this. At the end of the day, it is our right, and we want to go out there and vote. So make sure that you guys go out there and vote in the next, well, we have, this is our presidential election, but we also have other elections. Local elections come up also in the next
2 years.
2 years. So the wards that didn't vote this year, or that weren't up for election this year, they will be up in the next 2 years. So just remember that, hey, local elections matter, presidential elections matter. Go out there and vote. Dr. Canarvo, it was a pleasure to get to sit here and talk to you. We're excited to find out who wins this presidential election. And guess what? We're going to hear more about our updates from the polls from our anchors. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
All right, folks, we're going to take one last look at these numbers. For our president, we have Trump at 38,935 and Harris at 27,201. For our United States Senate, Blackburn is at 37,850 and Johnson is at 25,495. For our U.S. House of Representatives District 7, we have Green at 37,304 and Berry at 25,069 votes. For Tennessee Senate District 22, we have Bill Powers at 37,179 and Reynolds at 24,046 votes. For District 67, we have Dean Peltz with 8,789 and Ronnie Glenn taking the lead with 8,966. For District 68, Marbury takes the lead with 21,068 votes and Scott with 9,989 votes. For District 75, Burkhart with 7,376 and Phillips with 6,659. For Ward 3, we have Peters with 1,144 and Whitcomb with 756. For City Council Ward 5, we have Marquise with 1,919 and Ronald C. McDonald with 1,335. City Council Ward 8, Dawson with 663, Haywood with 939, Jensen with 745, and Reynolds with 657. For Ward 9, Jimmy Brown with 1,433, Childs with 735, Davis with 956, and Epps with 564. For Ward 12, we have Billin with 1,021, Jackson with 1,122, and lastly, Lovato with 1,505 votes.
Lastly, here's a look at Tennessee's congressional delegation. The Associated Press reports Republican Rep. John Rose won re-election to a U.S. House seat representing Middle Tennessee on Tuesday. Rose will serve a fourth term in Congress after his victory in the 6th District, one of the 3 seats that divide up Democratic-leaning Nashville and extend into rural and suburban Republican strongholds. Rose defeated Democrat Laura Bergman to clinch re-election. Republican Rep. Scott DeGenesis won re-election to a U.S. House seat representing Tennessee on Tuesday. DeGenesis will serve an 8th term in the 4th District, which spans 15 counties across middle and eastern Tennessee, including booming Rutherford County outside of Nashville. Democratic Representative Steve Cohan won re-election to a U.S. House seat representing the 9th Congressional District, which encompasses Memphis. Cohan is the lone Democratic congressional representative among Tennessee's 9 House members. Republican Rep. Chuck Fishman won re-election to a U.S. House seat representing Tennessee's 3rd District on Tuesday. The district is largely based on Chattanooga, but includes parts of East Tennessee.
Thanks for tuning in for a special election night of APSU-TV's election night. It's been an absolute pleasure keeping up with the polls with you guys. I hope everyone has a great rest of their election night, and as always, let's go P.